to get started in about 2 or 3 more minutes since it's being broadcast live on YouTube while we do this also live on Zoom. So enjoy the music. Okay, we're going to get started right on time. There we go. Hopefully everybody hears me okay. Good, good. My good friend, Mr. Adi, can you hear me? You're muted. You're muted. We're going to get started right now. My name's Dan Schwartz, and I am advising my wonderful student, Ashwant, who is the brains behind this entire series of GenesisChain. So I just want to welcome everybody. He's a little bit under the weather today, so I'm going to run this session. So we want to welcome everybody to GenesisChain. Let's get back to where I was. And this is this week's session. Let's talk about who is GenesisChain, the mission, making blockchain education accessible to everyone, targeted to students, professionals, and the endlessly curious. And what we're providing is real-world knowledge from industry leaders. It is, let's do this, put that over there. Generously sponsored by MTutor. MTutor is our sponsor. So let's talk about MTutor a little bit. They have generously contributed to support GenesisChain, and we want to say thanks to MTutor. Now on to the show. Our speaker, I call him Adi, A-D-I. That is much simpler for me to use. So his real name, I think, is Surya Kurniadi. He'll be with us in a second, and I'll let him share. Let me do a brief intro. He's a professional specializing in the intersection of blockchain and traditional industry. Very, very true. I know him for a while. He's done some fantastic things. He's been a co-founder across multiple ventures, PT Megatons, Maximus Prime, and PT Kartuster Indonesia. He's done agricultural exports, automotive blockchain, and contract farming NFTs. NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. We'll probably talk a little bit about that maybe when he adds a little bit after this intro. His focus is on driving organizational growth through data-driven field investigation and the strategic application of IT to enhance transparency in food and real estate. Now, this session, we are going, let me stop sharing. Hold on real quick. Okay, I stopped sharing because it's not being shown anymore. This session is about careers in blockchain, So that's what we're going to talk about. Adi's a good person. He's employed lots of people. He's done lots of work in blockchain and regular business and IT. Just give me a second. to get set. Make sure I got all my notes here because I can't memorize all this. I'm not as young as I used to be. Anyway, all good. Before I start the effectively, we're going to run this more like an interview. So we'll let Addie, if you can introduce yourself and talk a little bit more about your background and what you're doing at PA Digital, then we can get in and I can ask you a few questions. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dan. A little bit introduction about myself. My name is Adi. I'm a founder of Digital. What is Digital? Digital is we are the real world asset blockchain company that we tokenize food, and we are the first in the world that our NFT is backed by insurance company, legal. So we tokenize a farmland for 1 hectare. We create 40 NFTs, and people can buy it, and then they can redeem our token into commodities. And we are the first one that our token can be redeemed, and you can eat our token from the blockchain to your table. So and we are focusing for the staple food, and we have success to reduce the retail price up to 30% using the technology. So this is very huge impact, and we are start to expand to more than 11 countries for the next year. And
Fantastic. Go ahead, keep
yes,
going.
and uh, we are working right now for the belt for the export and import. We create for the several countries like Asian and Hong Kong until we will establish in Dubai for the next year as well, and Kazakhstan and Russia as well. So we are creating supply chain, not just a supply chain, but belt for trade, for export and import within the countries member, right? And everything will be using our blockchain, and our blockchain can be redeemed in 11 countries for the next years. That's it. Little bit introduction from me. Then
Yeah,
leave it to
that's
you back.
fantastic. 1 second. I just wanted to fix something. All right, cool. I'll leave you since the focus is on you and I'm asking the question. Let's talk about a little bit of your origin story. How did you start your journey as a tech expert looking for problems to solve, or were you in agriculture, real estate, blockchain, all that first and figured out, hey, we need bigger tech?
All right. So the first one, since I think since 2017, I've been working on the blockchain, especially Bitcoin. I'm studying it, and I'm looking forward for the development. What will be the next step of the blockchain? Is it just only for the trade or the investment? And at that time, I'm keep studying until 2019, and I start developing my first coin, my first blockchain, and based on that blockchain, I create three main things. The first one is for the food, the second one is for the real estate, and the third one is for the logistic, like a transportation, because this is the three things that become fundamental. So we've been developing this since 2019 actually. So this is not just one night and everything done. It took 6 years to develop this. And from the beginning, I focus for the real world asset because the issue is to the bridge between the digital, between the token and the physical things. And this protocol is quite rigid actually. And but yeah, after 5 years development, we success to manage to do that.
Awesome. Let me maybe go a little bit further on why. Pod Digital? Why did you come up with that? Because I know when I met you in person and we talked a little bit about history, how you had sold the company and then decided to launch this. Um, was it you said, hey, farmers need blockchain, or how can I apply blockchain and real world asset tokenization, NFTs to agriculture? What really was your driving force to do Pod Digital?
Okay, in Pad Digital, actually, what the farmers don't have is access for the market, especially retail. It's just a dream because the supply chain is really long. It's a long chain, yeah, right? So I figured it out. The only way for the farmer to determine the retail price is only blockchain. Why? Because it's borderless and everybody is independent. That is why Parigetal, we are legally in our notary deeds. It says DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, because in the future, Parigetal will turn into DAO. Everybody can buy buy our token in the platform. So because you know it's about sovereignty. What farmers need, what do they need? Is a sovereignty. It's a freedom. Freedom for what? For determine their price and for and free to keep their own product. Why? Because for the agriculture, the product have expiry date. It's really quick. They don't have the access. They don't have the warehouse. They don't have the facility. So I think if we create at that time, I think if we create a certain system that they can keep into our storage and they can sell into retail market, it will be help them. And after that, we implement every farmers using their wallet. They can sell in our decks, and then it can be redeemed into retail market, and everything is work perfectly. And they really happy. That is why we will expand into 11 countries for the next years. And the thing is, the thing is, it's about control because blockchain, we become uh, we have a sovereignty of the control. We become the custody of our own asset. It's different. And the sovereignty is the power. What the people need is the freedom. Freedom to speak, the freedom to sell, the freedom to custody our own things. So by doing this, we implement blockchain into the farmers, into the agriculture. Everybody happy. Everybody can control their own things, not controlled by a single one. That is why we are still in our commitment to make it focus on the decentralization of the stock, decentralization of the price. Everybody have their own sovereignty to determine the system. That's it. Then back to you.
Awesome. Next question. Talk about NFTs versus hype. Everybody's heard about NFTs, but most students and younger people kind of think back to the NFT craze back in 2020, 2021, $1 million digital art, Bored Ape Yacht Club, those kind of things. But at digital, you're using contract farming NFTs. Can you talk about that in very simple terms to somebody who's not as technically astute as you are? So when somebody buys one, what are they getting? The trees, well, in this case, we're talking a lot of cases rice, so it's not a tree, but the harvest or the contract. What exactly are the Pod Digital NFTs about? Please share.
Okay, our NFT. It's we. I will simplify that. The NFT is the certificate, but the question is the certificate of what? In the legal finance terms, it is commodity promissory note. That is a promise of the farmers. I can plant and I can grow a food or certain commodities. For example, 1 hectare, I can produce 8 tons, and I'm going to share to you 70% of it. But right, that is the promise. And our job, the digital, is to securitize that promise. We do a legal binding and everything, and we fractionalize it, their land. So one NFT of our NFT is equal to 250 square meters. So whatever harvested on that land, the 70% will goes to the NFT holders. It shares. Why? Because by when you buying the NFT, you do investment to the farmland. You're helping the farmers, and the farmers will give you 70% of the harvested crop, and you can sell the harvested crop in our platform, whatever you want, or you want to keep, or you want to eat it. It's free. So the NFT is act as a proof of ownership of that farmland during a certain period of time, which is the planting season until harvest season. That's it then.
Awesome. That was a very good explanation. Next, I want to talk about real world problems versus hype. We've seen that. Current generation, I'd say our generation, if I was my good friend Ashwanth, but his generation has grown up hearing about crypto scams, rug pulls, all those kind of things. How do you, as a real professional running a legitimate blockchain business, separate its legitimate use from all the hype? So when you decided to build Pod Digital, how did you know it wasn't tech for tech's sake and what the real problem was? So the whole concept of why you did this relative to all the other things that people see in the market.
Okay. So it's about the protocol. That is why it's not easy to be copy paste. It's about the protocol, the security, the way to handle this. So the issue is within the normal NFT, they are everybody can create it and sell it. Let's say for the art, which is good. But when you talk about investment, it's not that simple. It's about security. It's about the trust, not just the trust from the public, but the trust from banks and insurance. That is why Padita will become the first NFT in the world that covered by insurance. And there is a good news, Dan. We just make a very good deal with the one of the largest bank in Indonesia. They will create mutual fund for our NFT in Singapore. So investor worldwide can buy our NFT from the mutual fund, and the one who will sell is banks. So in the future, our NFT can be a collateral in a bank. You can put the NFT and you can as a collateral for your credit and everything. So in order to do that, the first one is the credibility. You need a very good credibility and teams, good teams that have a very good credibility. And then and we need to understand the banking system. That is why our NFT is matched with the banking system. We are not oppose it. We are not against it. That is why we got support from banks and insurance company. The good things is in our of our NFT is the insurance company is not just cover the risk of the plan. Let's say for the flood, of the cross failure, everything. Not just that. We have a second terms. The second terms is yield forecast protection. So whatever we wrote on our white paper on in our prospectus, let's say this particular contract address, the contract farming, will produce 8 tons per hectare, and eventually only 6 tons. The gap, the 2 tons, will be covered and will be paid by insurance company. Why? Because we have a very strong and very secure underwriting process. It's about underwriting. It's about the risk. We never talk about the profit. We always talk about the risk and how to mitigate the risk. Once the risk is clear, then the profit will come by itself. because when we doing business, only two things will be happen. The first one is the profit, and the second one is the lose, or yeah, the loss. If we focus on the profit, then there will be still a second chance of being lost. That is why in our motto we only focus how to mitigate the loss. We don't think about profit first, because if we mitigate every single risk of loss and we cover that, the only chance will happen next is the profit. That that is why banks and insurance companies supporting us in that level until international level, and they put the mutual fund in Singapore. So the next year, our NFT will become the first one that directly connect into mutual fund with banks. And next year, just using our NFT in our system, people can do trade, whether export and import between countries members. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent.
Get back to you.
That's good stuff. Next question. Career beyond code. If somebody wants a blockchain career, but they're not programmers, maybe they're design people, operations, policy, share the kinds of roles that exist in your own companies. Can somebody make a living in the blockchain or with the blockchain without being a programmer or a developer? So share the kinds of roles that exist at Pod Digital, since you're a blockchain company and an agriculture company and a finance company, but share broadly the kinds of roles that you've hired for, you look for, so that people can understand what the opportunities are besides being a Solidity developer.
All right, that is very good. So a little bit story that a little bit information that even our salary in Padigital using crypto, and we was using our expense like operational, like we flew by ticket and even lunch and everything using crypto, because our blockchain is already connect with the Visa card. We tap, we spend directly from crypto to Visa. And there are a lot of things in our company. For the example, if you have a capability as a design, can be a visual design, can social media, you can. And then even as a underwriter, you are welcome. And next is you know like what is called, um even in our company have a you, let's say you are head of a warehouse, you can work with us, because we are in our company both blockchain uh and yeah, the normal job is connected in our company. You we hire even a farmers, you can work with us, right? You are insurance company, you are insurance guy, you can sell, you can work with us. And even you are bankers, you can work with us. And let's say if you are logistic, you have a capability in logistic, you can work with us. So there are many, like more than 24 professional type of professional, because our ecosystem is 16. So at least there is a 16 job is required for the warehouse, for the handling, logistic. Yeah, everything is connected to the blockchain in our company. That's it
Yeah,
then.
yeah, your company's built on blockchain, but you have many of the traditional business roles because you're the intersection of real things and blockchain things. You have lots of blockchain work, but supply chain people, finance people, insurance people, because of all the aspects around your business. You know, that's quite enlightening. So for everybody watching, and for the young people that are going to watch this later or watch clips as part of the learning, blockchain companies are not 100% always everything being blockchain. Banks are on the blockchain. The Swift system's moving to blockchain. The Ripple, which competes with Swift, that's blockchain and finance, but that's not all just developer roles. All these roles that Addie's been talking about apply broadly across the industry. Excellent. Now let's talk about scale, how to build responsibly at scale. As you scale, how do you keep everything aligned with your mission and resist the pressures of let's just make money, which is one pressure that a lot of people have, and stay focused on your genuine impact? Because what you're doing with Pod Digital is not all about how much money you can make for you and the team. It's about helping these farmers get access to the retail market and really end to end provide the capability. So share about scale and those kinds of issues.
Okay, what I can say, number one is persistent. You need to be persistent of what you are doing, because sometimes time will become tough and sometimes time will become easy, but you need to be persistent. And the second one, never think about your own stomach, but you need to focus how to make others prosper. Once everybody surround you become prosper, they will support you and will become the part of you, and it will become the strength, because uh, when we got support from the people, everybody take part of it, take the role of it. That is why it will be grow so fast. And the third one, uh, don't be greedy. We share. The this is why the reason why we it's called the blockchain. You don't need to trust. You don't need to keep everything by yourself. It's decentralized. We need to assign, and we need to share with everybody within the business. You take this part, you take this part, the other part, and everything, and it's connected. It is why it's called DLT, distributed ledger technology. On that level, on that technology level, we need to distribute not just a ledger, but the role within the system, right? So by doing this, the system will work. You will, if you count, and the fourth one, if you count on yourself in this, generation and this time, that not will gonna work. More if you watch carefully during 90s, during the 90s, the top 10 company is a oil, but start 2000 until 2010, the top 10 is a website company like a Google, like you know like Yahoo at that time. But 2010 until 2020, the top 10 of the richest is the one who have apps. That is why there is a Google, there is a Instagram, like that, apps like Grab, Gojek in Indonesia. But 2020 until 2030 is the time of a AI, right? The AI innovation. But 2030, 5 years from now, the top 10 will be blockchain company, because all the best people, all the smartest people right now focusing on the blockchain. So the next, on the 2030, the top 10 will be the one who in the blockchain company. That is why it's very good for us to prepare 2030. Everything will be blockchain by in time. You know why? Because 2030, most of the country, their own currency will use a blockchain. It's mandatory. Whether you're ready, whether you're not ready, whether you believe it or not believe it, whether you agree or disagree, you will use blockchain in time. That's
Gotcha.
it, man.
And I think the other reason for this is, I correct me if I'm wrong, but you sold your previous company and then decided to start Pod Digital because you saw the problems and wanted to create the impact. So your focus and mission wasn't how much money you could make for yourself. It was how can you solve this big problem? I think that's a big difference to many, many founders who get into this with the idea I'm going to get rich. You came into this with a mission. Next question for you. Global perspective. Okay, so you just mentioned, I think, 11 countries in 2026. You started in Indonesia. From, remember, the target audience for GenesisChain is young Indian students and professionals. So for India, based on your knowledge, how do they build blockchain solutions relevant to their communities? What problems do you think they should be looking at that blockchain industry maybe isn't addressing, or just in general, your views of blockchain implementation into real business things in places as large as India?
Okay, good. Actually, there are several big top Indian agriculture company meet with me this year. So we discussing about the India itself. The India, the GTV is very big and the agriculture is big. So the issue is maybe the government little bit not very welcome at this moment for the blockchain in India. But I think in 2030 everything will be blockchain by itself because it's a global agenda, and this is the perfect time for people in India, especially the youth in industry in Genesis, to develop for the focus on the real world asset in India, because India have a lot of product, have a lot of food, have one of the largest agriculture is India, and we don't need to convince anybody, but we just need to give them correct information about what is blockchain, what you can do with the blockchain itself, like transparency of stock, like you selling to the retail market, even to export. You know why? When you talk about export in a government level, they love it because it's increased their GDP. So people in India, you can talk about blockchain and push it to export your product worldwide, because the nature of the blockchain is borderless. That means your product in your country, your agriculture, your fish, your your any product of in India, once you connect with the blockchain, when you tokenize it, it's become worldwide. So everybody have access. It's not just exclusive. Maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when you want to do export, is exclusive. It's very rigid. But when you do when you put your product attached to the blockchain, you gain global market. That is how you can earn money. Like it's not small amount, it's a huge amount. No worries. The market is the power. Yes. I think
Gotcha.
that's for our friends in India. Focus developing for the agriculture, the business over there. You can connect with us. We are welcome. We are welcome to connect, and we will supporting in India. That's it, man.
Cool. Next question. Pretend you're 18 years old. If you were 18 years old today and you're taking your first steps in your career and wanted to do something legitimately in blockchain and create impact, what would you tell your 18-year-old self to build, study, or do, or an 18-year-old out in India? What would your advice be based on your experiences throughout your illustrious career, as well as what you're doing in blockchain?
The first one that I will tell my 18 years old self, right? The first one, see the opportunity. Don't see what's on the table, but further beyond the table. Don't believe what you see, but you have to understand beyond that. And working on it, once you saw the opportunity, and the next step, when you see the problem, create the solution. The bigger the problem that you solve, the bigger the money is, right? The bigger your value is, whether you are business owner or you are working in a certain company. But if you can solve the problem, that means money. that means profit. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the reward it is. When after that, create prototype. Prototype is very important. Not every not everybody cannot understand what we are thinking, right? Just create prototype. Prototype is very important to explain and to make everybody to understand what are you doing. And based on the prototype, you can whether you can sell or you can looking for the partner, or you can uh you can give that to your boss or to your company. That's the real things. Prototype. Just create of what you are going to do. I think that's it then.
Cool. Next one, red flags. How do young people that get attracted to blockchain projects that talk about huge returns go viral on social media, but then blow up because they had no hope, because it was unrealistic? From your experience, what do you look at if you see blockchain projects that you say, hey, that's unsustainable, that's probably a scam? I'll share some of mine after you're done. But in general, what's your view on what you see that would identify it as stay away, it's a red flag?
Okay, the first one is the things that promising you to gain a big profit. Never jump into that. And especially I me myself, I never buy a meme coin. I never, because such a waste if a blockchain just to just to be used for the certain things like scam or rug pull and everything. What a waste, right? Need to understand the function of the blockchain, and the behind the blockchain, what can you do with the blockchain itself, and never focus on the profit. Not just a profit, like, I mean, but what you need to be focused is how to solve the problem, looking for the project that in the blockchain that focus on the solving the problem. For example, like you mentioned, then Ripple, it's solving between banks. They even don't talk about profit, because when you solve the problem, everything will be follow. Like, and the other thing like USDT, not even talking about a high profit. It's really low income, but you solving the problem of the settlement, people will come. Same like Digital, we are focusing on the food. We don't even we don't talk to everybody, but people will come. Focus on that things. So focus on the project that become the problem solver. The bigger the problem that they solve is the bigger of the reward. It's a law. It's like a nature law. No worries about it. Become the problem solver, not become like a predator. Looking for the high return in the very short terms. Better you play casino rather than play blockchain.
There you go.
That's it then.
The other thing I'd add from my own experience, I see people advertising projects where they're going to pay 5% per day and they're going to pay affiliate commissions. And if you do the math, to be able to pay commissions, run a profitable company, and guarantee people 5% a day, you need to earn 8% a day. If you and I, correct me if I'm wrong, if you and I had a technology, an algorithm that could make us 8% guaranteed every day, remember the law of 72, right? Interest rate, 72 divided by interest rate tells you how many days it takes to double. So I can make 8% a day. I can double my money every 9 days. I did the math. You think if I found you a guaranteed way to make 8% every day, or I was the guru that did that, and I partnered with you, you think we could find 200,000 US dollars of our own? Right? No problem, right? We wouldn't need anybody else's money, because we could turn 200,000 into, like, in 5 months. If we could make 8% a day, we could turn it into $16 billion. So the point I'm making, and that's just starting with 200,000. So if it looks too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Anyway, that's my big one. All right, last one for you. In one sentence, so we don't need a long answer, so you're going to have to think because it's harder to keep it short. Why should somebody in high school or college, why should a student choose to go work with the blockchain as their career path? Not because it's trendy, but because it offered something meaningful. So, what's your one sentence advice? I think I've heard some of your theme, but I want to hear you articulate in basically one sentence why someone who has interest technically, mostly, should pursue a blockchain career.
In 2030, everything will become blockchain. Everything. That's it. Whether you're ready or not ready.
That's exactly what I knew you were going to say, because you've made that point a few times through our time discussing things. All right, let me conclude and highlight, and then I'll let you have the last word because you're our esteemed guest. It's not often we can get someone as accomplished as you are to join something like this. So first, I want to say my thanks. It's nice to be your friend. I'm very thankful that we got to meet. I look forward to helping. And we really appreciate you giving up your time on a Saturday to do this. Here's some of the points I heard you say, and you can add to it since you get the last word. One, first thing you said, I'll start with last things first, because you said it a few times. 2030, everything's going to be blockchain. So the world's moving there. We're in the AI world right now, with NVIDIA and Microsoft and Apple and a few others. They're all, 3-4 trillion market caps. This is definitely the AI time, but your 2030 is going to be everything blockchain. Some of the origins of Pod Digital and what got you to do what you're doing. Farmers not having access to retail. So you were solving the problem of two problems, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong in your summary. One is farmers needing access to retail customers. So they were kind of getting screwed in the supply chain setup because they sell to a middleman who sells to a bigger middleman. So farmers get hardly anything, relatively speaking, and a lot of the money gets eaten up throughout the supply chain before it gets to a consumer. But the second piece, I think you said, and I remember, the end cost going through Pod Digital to a consumer for rice, for example, is 30% less than normal retail. So you solve two problems. One, people who need access to competitively priced product, and two, farmers needing access to retail markets effectively and not losing all the margin to the middle. Another one, NFTs, real world NFTs. Your NFTs are effectively contracts. The right to receive a certain amount of output. Another one, distributed management. Decentralized is coming, a DAO, this decentralized autonomous organization. Blockchain's the basis for the business, because without blockchain, you wouldn't have this business. However, you said you employ 24 different kind of job classes in your company, of which a significant proportion are not blockchain specific programming jobs. What else? Agriculture is the way to go. Everybody's got to eat. I have a friend who's in the agriculture business. He's does it differently than you do. But he said, markets go up, markets go down, but everybody still has to eat. So solving agriculture problems. And the last point, if you're going to do something, you want to learn, you want to get into business, you have to deliver value. People pay for value. I'm a sales guy at heart, so that struck home. People pay you for how big a problem you solve, and they're willing to pay you more money for the bigger problem. And finally, if you're going to build something, especially in the blockchain space where blockchain is part of what you're building. Prototype it. People make it simple so people can see what it is, and before you actually go to the trouble of building it, because it's a heck of a lot easier to fix it before it's fully coded and it's only a prototype, especially with these rapid prototyping tools that are out there. Better get early feedback before you spend all the money on coding testing, integration testing, and documentation to find out, oops, we missed two important requirements. And to undo all that, I have to redo, 57 different tests, especially since certification and insurance in your business is involved. Which becomes costly. I think I summarized everything I can remember, and I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks again to MTutor for sponsoring GenesisChain. I want to say thanks to you, my friend, for coming on and sharing real world experience and real world business. And I'll let you have the last word.
Okay, thank you, Dan. So here's the things. We, if you are interested in the blockchain, you only have 5 years to become the next billionaire in blockchain. Because when the time comes and you are not ready, you are just the part of the system. But you have still have 5 years from now, you will become the part of the system and the owner of the system. You only have 5 years left for the total 2030 to make your living better, to make your family better, and start from now. It's like you prepare an umbrella before the rain, right? That's it. Thank you, Dan.
That is awesome, everybody. So for all the young people out there watching, I want to say follow that advice. Follow that advice. Start preparing. You have 5 years. So if you're in high school, fantastic, right? You're going to graduate. You'll get to university. You can do blockchain things. You can learn. You can do all this while you're a student. If you're in university already, fantastic. Within 5 years, you'll be out and in the workforce. If you're a young professional and you're in the workforce already and you're not in blockchain, it's probably a good idea at least to learn it. You get a job in it, you don't get a job in it. But I think what I heard Addie say is the world's going to be blockchain. Banks are going to be blockchain. Whether you're a blockchain person isn't the issue. It's the understanding of blockchain and how it's applied to business to increase efficiencies, improve business, solve business problems. It's no different than AI, right? I'm not an AI person. I don't code in AI, but I use AI every day. He or she today who's learning how to use AI properly can do the work of what 10 people used to do. One person can do the work of 10. Well, similarly, you can be solving large problems by being in the blockchain and understanding the blockchain and following the advice of Pod Digital's founder, Addy, because he has a really long name and his nickname is so much easier for me to pronounce. So I want to say thank you to everybody for attending. And if you're watching this on the recording or if you're watching it on YouTube later, fantastic. And we will see you in a week. Thank you again, Addy, for your wonderful, wonderful time and your wonderful, wonderful talk.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Take care.